Peace. This is the first episode of the Avant Den, which is like a podcast where I talk to people I dearly respect, And this is the first episode with a good friend and one of my favorites, one of my favorite ambient artists, John Daniel, also known as Forest Management. Yes.
Good. Thank you, brother.
Cheers for this, bro.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So yeah, bro. I didn't really want it to be like formulaic, but like yeah. What type of work you've been creating recently?
Recently, so I've actually kind of been going away from the forest management universe just in this last year. Really, kind of the last big project that I had for that was the Floor 9 album. So
yeah.
And so since then, I've been just kind of for a number of reasons, like kind of wanting to just explore like a new direction and just something that focuses more on playing drums again, because I'm a drummer like originally.
Yeah.
Like just really miss that, and playing like instruments with other people and collaborating with vocalists. And
yeah.
And so like for me, it makes the most sense to kind of just like start something new, or like outside of just let forest management be what it was and like kind of put it to rest eventually. And that's its own story, and just move on to kind of what I'm feeling next. And that's kind of just to create under my own name essentially, and just go back to like, just like instrumentation, and just do everything that I've always wanted to do, like outside of that project. So yeah.
Solid. Yeah, no, I didn't realize you were a drummer. I think I saw a video you had posted, and then I also saw on Rate Your Music that you were a drummer for like this one group. But that's wonderful to hear, because I see a lot of folks going in like directions of just bass improvisation with instruments, a lot of like ambient artists, whatever, like it's the natural progression. I'm hyped as hell to hear that though. Like that's the thing for me, because I'm also an improv musician, but I don't know many folks here who would do duo sets,
Right.
Like, so it's a little bit of a shame. So I'm mostly focusing on like solo work,
right.
But that's really good to hear.
Oh, that makes yeah. And it's good to have that period too of like exploration and exploring, and just like I just kind of like 10 plus years of doing like more textural, like noise based, and being surrounded by those people and those types of artists like really taught me a lot. It like opened my head up to sound and just what you can do with it, and like and so it's kind of interesting, and like having this access to the software, which really blew up in the 2010s, like, and like you said, everybody was kind of creating in that way, I think, but then there is this kind of return in the 2020s back towards like improvisation, towards things outside of the box, and like I mean, and people are kind of craving that human touch again, I feel like, in general. So it's a really interesting combination of technology, just the essential like stuff. So
it's perfect, and like
it's great.
I feel a lot of my bad.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, no, there's no one right way to do something, of course, or make music. Just of course, like anybody, if it's a FL Studio for someone, their entire life of making music, that's great. But I think I was just speaking on the movements I'm seeing. Yeah.
I feel a lot of folks too are just, it's a heavy emphasis on collaboration too, which is good, because like the main thing with improv, or at least for me, is like the sonic communication that comes. Like, eventually if we like me, like the work would be much more it'll be so much better, because like be us and like the same vicinity and like instruments there, and yeah, like collaboration is like such a vital part. I'm glad folks are realizing that.
Yeah, definitely. Some folks are doing do it long distance. I mean, there's yeah, it's still possible. But yeah,
Yeah,
something
it's
about that.
good. Some of it's really good.
Yeah, yeah, like stems and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But like, I don't know. I find myself doing it a lot less. Because I used to make beats a lot more so. I used to, and I would just like a lot of collaboration would happen that way, where I'd send rappers beats and shit.
yeah,
But I don't know. The best stuff was always like me and another person in like a studio or some type of you know face to face context, and I kind of prefer that nowadays.
yeah, yeah. I can see whatever the chemistry produces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. Those are great moments, and those are such like strong memories too, like that are created.
Hmm. It's hard to record though, like all of it. A lot of the best stuff isn't recorded.
Yeah,
Like, it's a shame. I wish I could just like impulsively record everything. Like
yeah.
anyway.
I got better at that over time. Like it, yeah, I just became a stickler. Like when I was jamming with friends, I had a couple of friends that probably like attest to just me being like, "Yo, like, are we recording? Like, press record right now.
Yeah.
Press that red button." Uh, and yeah, but no, totally like that's happened. It's like because it's so natural, right? Like playing music with someone, and then you kind of realize what's happening. You have
Yeah.
a realization moment. And it's like, oh, you're not thinking about technical stuff yet, It's like, but yeah,
Right. Nah, I think I heard too that Cecil Taylor he would like he had something rigged to where every time he entered his room he would record the piano playing. And I've thought about that like so much, or like something in the light switch would like trigger something to record, or
yeah,
like a microphone to record or some shit. And then it would anytime he would play like just idly, it would record. So the amount of recordings that guy must have had
yeah,
just off of that,
just
like
still,
it's crazy.
yeah, honor. That's, I mean, yeah, it's quite incredible. And yeah, that's a beautiful way, right, to like live too, and just kind of, it's a very open kind of way. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, it does kind of reemphasize like that it's, we make the music for us first, like it's like,
exactly.
it's your own self-expression. So it's, yeah, um, kind of trying to move towards and stay in that place, like versus like, I feel like before maybe when things were a little more busy with the project, for example, like um, it was maybe more like determined by what releases I had to do or what projects I had to do or what was in my email inbox. So it's like,
Yeah,
which, but sometimes it's like you can't always force like something to happen. Or you can't like force the structure of something like, oh, here's an album. But like on the flip side of that, like you can always be recording, you can always be documenting your life, and then later on, like, oh, like this is something. Yeah. So I always try to,
yeah.
yeah.
I gotta ask a question though.
Yeah.
What? Because a lot of your work, I feel like, has this accentuation of particular moments. What was one record where it's like when someone mentions it back to you, it's like it takes you like immediately back to that specific moment. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you that, but like
Yeah.
I just yeah.
Um, in terms of records, I would say like full length records, the 21st Century Man record is probably the heaviest in my mind in terms of the imagery or just the sense of time and place. Um,
Right.
I think I was like feeling and processing a lot at that moment, at that time. And that was my second full length LP since um, 2015, 2014.
Mm.
So it was like the second record, and first record was made in Cleveland, my hometown, and so I was in Chicago at this point. So it was really about like Chicago life and kind of this first couple years in Chicago,
Right.
and just you know, living in a big city too, just like you learn a lot about yourself at a pretty rapid pace if you
Yeah.
if you open yourself up to that. Um, so yeah, definitely kind of essentially just taking what I was meditating on or processing, like learning, I guess, or just my immediate environment. I felt like, and I wanted to make a record like that, even from like the artwork of the window that was like downtown, just like these places that I would go normally. And that comes with that like constant continual documentation, you know. And so I really felt like that was the most transparent one. The ones following that were more like impressionistic and whatnot, but yeah,
That one is really beautiful.
thank you.
But, yeah, man. I,
I was always
I
curious
would,
if people would get that, or like, you know, that's one that I didn't get a ton of feedback on, and that's cool. You know, I'm just glad when people listen to it, but like, yeah, I was always curious what kind of feelings people maybe picked up from it. Um,
right.
you know, it's kind of like it's like making a film in some ways. Like, you're curious, you kind of want to watch people watch it. Um, just
Right.
does it communicate? Does it convey kind of what you were feeling? It doesn't have to, though. That's the thing about art, right? But like, I'm always
Yeah.
just I still have that curiosity, you know. Like after I leave
I
something,
get
walk away
it.
from, yeah.
I understand. Well, let me show you something. Let me
Yeah,
show you something.
yeah.
Hold up. You don't know how like you don't know how crazy I got when I found this shit.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. Is that what record store is that? Like,
Rotate this. It's downtown Toronto.
okay, yeah,
I don't know if you've ever been.
like around Kensington?
Yeah, bro. It's not the one with the soap though, which is a shame.
Oh yeah, yeah, special edition. Yeah, that
This shit. It was my first time hearing it, and it was like that thing that I mentioned with moments. Like this one, I feel
definitely
this shit was amazing.
appreciate it. Yeah, well, that's it's just cool that you picked that up because that After Dark did kind of tie in. It for me, I was kind of approaching it as a bit of a follow up from 21st Century Man, and it kind of was
Yeah,
just that in the same place, which was just my environment, um, like a little more focused on like a concept. But yeah, it's interesting.
word.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so it said that, or like on the description of the label page, it said you like sample a Debussy piece, La Mer, on the whole thing.
Yeah, Lemaire.
No,
It's I have an old vinyl that I picked up from like, you know, the local store.
yeah,
Um, had uh, so my roommate at the time had a really good turntable and
mm,
sampled, um, just recorded it off. So, and then yeah, it's a pretty like dirty vinyl, so there's a lot of noise, and yeah, just went in on. It was just kind of a thing. So like Jordan from American Dreams Records, like had connected with me and had shown a lot of support, and um, was open to doing a double LP,
right,
which is the first time I had an opportunity to do something like that. So I was kind of thinking it more of like this like concept, I guess, rather than like trying to fit uh, two LPs with like personal shit or something. Yeah. So
yeah,
it was more a little bit more like a little bit more distant from, you know, from those things. sense, but it's more about like this is the record and sampling it, but all like
Yeah.
the artwork and all the themes and stuff and all the imagery, it's that's the part that I felt I was writing, because the music's already there, sampling it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting because it felt like a lot of those works felt very personal. Like it tied into like the rest of the shit I was hearing was like could tell you did within like a certain spaces and like I was so shocked to hear that it was sampled like Lemaire.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
yeah, I felt kind of like yeah.
No, that's cool. It's
I pride myself on like being able to recognize. Nah, my bad.
like sources and stuff.
My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like that was with Forest Man. That was like one of my favorite things to do. Of just and I've learned this from like artists that I admire, like the early 2000s, like early laptop music and stuff. Like um,
Mm-hmm.
taking a source and obscuring it and really like resculpting something, really morphing something into a brand new sound. So like to where you even lose track of its originality, like, or like its source. Um, so like uh, yeah, it's just really fun to do. And then you get these unexpected moments, because you can't really plan out how it's going to end up sounding. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like a great way to just use your workstation, whether it's Ableton or whatever you're using. It's just like it's just all about like getting your hands on it, and you know, so like it's easier to not overthink things that way because you're just there to kind of mangle things, and
Exactly.
that's all I really was doing. And then I would worry about arranging it later. I would like go back and take everything I had and like identify like what story was there, what was, so it's usually,
Right.
yeah.
Nah, I love it so much. Like a the art, like sampling as a practice is so perfect because, like, yeah, like you said, you get these unexpected moments, or you get these unexpected things that happen, like through divinity, not even by your own real doing, and like to have that, documented is so perfect. Like, I I do it a lot more. So I do it actually no, I do it a lot less now because I'm more focused on like synth based shit. But yeah, like it's
Yeah,
such a powerful practice.
right.
It's so impressive to hear something like that, or like even someone early like John Oswald or something, who
Mhm.
would just like form these new fucking landscapes. Even like vaporwave, man.
Yeah,
Like
that goes.
are you hip to telepath? You like telepath?
I'm actually not familiar that one of the main like vaporwave.
Yeah, you would like him a lot because it's like he makes. Well, he would like his later works because he makes ambient soundscapes out of samples. It's so it's crazy. Like I'll send one afterwards. But yeah,
Sounds good. Yeah, I've been pretty
but even in a mesh too, if you know him.
okay. No, I'm not familiar. Yeah, I gotta get hip to a lot
Yeah.
more of that stuff. Um, yeah, I actually don't know any vaporwave now that I think about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of giant.
It's an right. It's an unsung like form for experimental art. Like I feel like a lot of folks don't realize how vital it is to that same like phonics like praxis we were just talking about. Like
Yeah, it kind of like
but
carries it on, right? Yeah,
yeah, but it just gets like swept under like internet music or whatever, like that sort of thing. I don't really know why, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Telepathy would love. Oh yeah, also I don't know if you ever listened to my friend Bliss 3, but
Yeah, so
kind of similar.
well, he was in Chicago, right? When you, is that the same person? Listen,
Yeah,
I was gonna go see him and I didn't get a chance to go see him. I was bummed, but yeah, yeah, you classify as vaporwave. Do you think?
I guess, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause there's vocals in there too, right? Like,
Yeah, for the most part.
yeah,
But yeah, I find that music so impressive. Like I've tried. I mean, I've done it myself, and I guess it it it's so fun to do to just make new like landscapes out of these samples. Like
definitely.
it's weird. Like you find something within the producer. Like you find like through those moments what they enjoy about music. That's as an entire form.
Right. Yeah, the power of the loop and like listening to something over and over with that person who created that. Yeah,
Yeah,
hearing their selections, you're hearing something that caught them, and yeah, that's cool.
there's something powerful in like a loop, man.
Yeah,
Like I don't know what it is. Like I've been trying to figure it out, but the only thing I can ever like rap over or like sample chop like loops. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's 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 crazy how effective sampling can be. But like I don't know. Right now, I'm just trying to find a way to like fuse certain forms. It's really tough, you know. It's
yeah,
hard to do it like effectively, you know,
right.
starting basis.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to find kind of what works for what you're feeling, like what the sound that you have too, and because there used to be
Right,
so many, I would throw out a lot of samples or sample projects, like a lot of that would go nowhere. Uh, I think more so than like original recordings. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of trial and error with that. I remember that's
right.
yeah,
And I gotta ask, like, how do you even start a project like forest management? Because I mean, you can stay as like standard ambient, but I don't know. I feel it's a lot more powerful, you know, personally. Like, how do you even start something like that back in what was it 2010, right?
it's 2011. Um,
Uh,
yeah, so I was like I was starting to make some music in like Ableton in 2010,
mm,
and had been dabbling a little bit in just like this Yamaha keyboard, a reverb pedal, like a Boss reverb pedal, and like a little bit of guitar since like 2009. And I finally got this software 2010, and then I eventually just like decided like the next year decided to start like just like finishing stuff, and I got a SoundCloud and then started to like upload like a few tracks there, you know.
mm,
That I would just like make some Audacity and um yeah, and then that was kind of essentially I started, and I was making all this stuff just on my own, not sharing it with anyone. Then I finally was like on Facebook and would start to just DM, some of these tracks to friends, and yeah, like really appreciated with their feedback at the time, just like um being stoked on something, or yeah, I don't know, like really kind of caused me to make the decision of like putting all that stuff on Bandcamp, like
right.
just like just for it would just be for free or whatever, just to have it up, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it would, I don't know, the name kind of can't came more out of like necessity to have a name, and then the actual first FM release was like it's not on the internet anymore, but it's called Music for Stargazing.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, you might
I feel like
something on YouTube, I think. Yeah, but
yeah.
that was just like a first like CD. Essentially, like I walked into this planetarium in my hometown and started asking about like their like their program and just like if they needed any music. And so I ended up going making the CD, just like getting a couple friends to like play on it with me and like help me produce it. And yeah, we put out this CD and then we like performed in the planetarium. It was really cool. It was this tiny planetarium, but like yeah, it was like it gave kind of like a structure and a purpose to like this music I've been kind of working out and um yeah, was very like influenced by Stars That Lit at the time. So that was like
Right.
a big impetus for the name of the project, like the sound and direction of kind of everything that I was doing that first year in 2011. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Right. Like I think I saw it on radio. So that's why it sounds familiar,
yeah,
but I haven't heard it. Did you guys ever put out the CD, or did you just do like one
it was
for
one
that planetarium?
run. Yes, we made one, gave a copy to the planetarium that they might still have. I'm not sure. They changed directors like 5 years.
Right.
And then we had like probably 20 copies, like 10, 20 copies that I gave out to like friends and family and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah, and that was like, so that was like self-released, and it wasn't until 2012, actually 2014 that I had like a release that was by label. But yeah, 2012 was my first tape that was a self-release, like transparent. Uh,
Uh,
that was the first like cassette that's still on the internet. Um,
right.
yeah, it's kind of a slow, like, start, like kind of just really feeling things out. And I'm glad that I like did it that way instead of just like jumping in or trying something that like wasn't me or something. I really tried to I did a lot of listening. I was a huge fan of what you would consider ambient music, like at that time. I just loved it all, like
Right.
took it all in, just became such a fan of the music and then started to kind of explore what that might look like coming from me. Uh, yeah. So
Yeah. That's fucking wonderful.
thanks.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, the like plant aesthetic kind of fits. What would you say nowadays is the main like quote purpose of the work of your work? Like why do you because I guess I feel like maybe it might shift over time, but like what were those shifts of purposes?
Yeah. Well, honestly, kind of always been an outlet for me. I think just having such a familiarity with that like area of music uh, for a while, and then I had context, and so for me, I just kind of saw, all right, I'm going to create this project, and then it was around like probably 2015, 2016 that I kind of started feeling like, oh, cool, like I feel like I'm a part of something, like I feel like I'm just like in this community, and like I've made a lot of friends, through it, and so it's just like kind of seeing like the context that you're part of, and
Yeah,
for me, it was just this like outlet within that to share like what I'm doing. Um, and I think also too the piece of it, like being a drummer, coming from this like the band background of like playing shows and touring, I kind of yeah, I still was doing that with the project. So that was like also a goal, I think, of just wanting to like still share it in a live setting. And so yeah, I was definitely like trying to tour, in 2010s quite a bit, and I was able to do some cool tours. Um, so yeah, just I really wanted the project to just be yeah to have kind of access to all those things, like playing a show, having something physical, released, and yeah, because I felt like this kind of familiarity or just like love with what I was doing. So Yeah.
What was your? Do you remember your first show? I recently played my first show like last month or whatever, and it was
Yeah.
weird. Like,
It was weird.
you know,
Why was
yeah. It's, say again?
why did it feel weird, you think?
Because like, well, the first actual show I had, I did it with Bliss, and for my set, it was just like I was playing, and then I look up, and then I see like mad people like actually watching. It was just strange to like that have that be in that context, like people actually listening, you know?
Yeah, it's a vulnerable place to be in too. And it's like, whoa, like people, your sounds are flowing through their ears and they're sharing that space with you. Yeah. It's pretty but it's like, man, it's also
Right.
really beautiful and like rewarding too, you know. And that's a cool thing about playing live. Yeah.
Mm. Bro, you're playing live with fucking like Basinski next month.
Yeah. Yeah. October.
That's so sick.
Yeah, in Chicago. So
That's so sick.
I think that'll be my last Chicago show for that project. So yeah, kind of saw it as a very full circle thing. And
Yeah, that's a pretty good
yeah,
place to close.
yeah, I remember listening to Melancholia in college,
Mm.
just driving around like Cleveland. Like, yeah, that was another big influence at the time. Yeah, so that should be fun. And yeah,
Are
so
you like opening? Are you like opening for him? Playing before?
yeah, yeah, so I'll be playing first. So
Nice,
got a couple weeks for that. So gotta start.
nice. You gotta come down to Canada, man.
I'm absolutely going to. Yeah, I want to hit Toronto. I played in Kingston a couple times. Like I love Kingston too. Um, like Ottawa.
That's,
Yeah, maybe that's Ottawa.
yeah,
And definitely Montreal. Montreal's one of my favorite cities. So,
I've
and
never even been there. Like, it's always one of those places I'm trying to go to. I've never, in terms of Canada, I've never left Ontario to be honest. So like, yeah.
it's a good 6 hours from you, I think. But
Yeah.
it's worth the trip, and I think you would like it a lot. It's really
Mm. There's
just
a lot of great art coming out of there too,
yeah,
for sure. But man, but Toronto's like, I don't live there, but I go there like virtually all the time. Just by
yeah.
train, so good,
Yeah,
such
how's far is it
amazing
from you?
city. I'm like it's like an hour away,
Okay,
like an hour train or an
yeah,
hour drive, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's great. That's where I perform this show, and like it's where people are like, you know,
yeah,
they're like in tune with that type of thing. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Like, yeah, being outside of the city too is nice because you can like kind of go in and come back to your zone. You know.
Right. I don't know. I feel I always felt like suburban landscapes were like too
Yeah.
debilitating or like too enclosing,
Yeah.
but it's more peaceful, I guess.
Yeah. No, I know exactly. Yeah. It it helped me create when I was still living in the suburbs in Cleveland up until beginning of 2016. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of time and space. Uh, so it was a good time
Yeah.
to develop some thinking.
Which do you prefer living in like cities though?
Yeah,
Do you prefer?
definitely. Yeah, city person. Um, like when I don't know, years from now, I'll revisit, but
Yeah.
taking a day at a time, anyways. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely yeah, just more culture, cultural diversity and yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, you
Um,
gotta come to Chicago
are
sometime.
you working on anything under like are past the FM project? Are you working on one right on a record? Oh, yeah, actually, no. You told me. You told me you were. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, but there's a tape coming out. So I'm gonna do one more tape
Okay.
with FM. Um, yeah, so that should be announced soon, coming out soon. My friend Gunther Valentine's gonna be putting that out on his label. So yeah, and then that's like material from like the Floor 9 sessions, basically.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of the wrapping up of all that. My new album, like CD, I'm gonna self-release that, and I've got some friends on that, and that'll hopefully be out by like um, either next month or November, actually. Probably November. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, I'll be sharing that.
Um,
Yeah.
nah. Who I gotta curious too. Who are some people you like improvise you've been hoping to play with? Because
I would love to jam
who are
with
some
like some brothers like Chris Williams or Luke Stewart. Just like some people I've been seeing do some really amazing things and doing a lot of
yeah,
live improvisation, pushing the boundaries sonically, and like, yeah, that's kind of where I feel like my background is, or like where I come from. Just living in Cleveland, and going to noise shows, and so kind of like the merging of that with like more like maybe traditional instruments. I find that really fascinating. Yeah. So a lot of people need cool stuff.
nice.
That's a whole
Yeah,
other story.
I've always wanted to play down there. The improv music down there is so it's so eclectic. It's amazing right now.
It's beautiful. I love New York. Yeah, it's so beautiful, and
Like
just people there chasing their dreams, and like obviously like it's expensive. It can be extra in certain ways, but like yeah, there's
yeah,
people there that are chasing their dreams, and that's like really cool energy to be around.
right. And making like genuinely progressive like sonic work. Like oh man,
Right.
the amount of like
Got that.
innovators in
Yeah.
down there. Do you know Charmaine
Yeah.
Lee? You know Charmaine Lee?
Yeah. Yeah. I know that name. I actually haven't listened to music yet.
Ooh, you might like it's like really it's like crazy uh
Okay.
vocal and electronic improvs. I can barely even describe with the word.
Yeah. I'll definitely check that out. I'm trying to remember where I like saw that.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean she's pretty big down there right now. You might
yeah.
you probably heard of her. Another person who's really I don't know, no, she's not from New York, but Claire Rousset I've been really into.
Yeah.
Who's been
Yeah. I think she's in San Antonio.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I've met Claire actually at the Garfield Park Conservatory. There's a Plantasia concert
Oh,
in Chicago.
that's sweet.
Yeah. And it was like a Sacred Bones event. And like, so there's like,
Wait,
yeah, like
that
six
was one
people.
recently. There was, I think there was, I saw one advertised recently, right?
There's one tomorrow. Yeah. There's one
Oh
tomorrow.
yeah,
Um, yeah. And so like, yeah, Robert A. Gabriello,
yeah, and Angel
Alia
David is
Hunter.
gonna be there
Yeah.
too.
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like a great
Are you gonna go?
I'm gonna try to go. I already get plans. Uh, yeah, it's so rough. Like there's so many good shows in Chicago like, all the time, And,
Yeah.
it's always I always sound crazy. I feel like the 8 years ago I would have heard myself talking and been like, "Wait, you're not going?"
Right.
Well, it's like, yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't miss out on Robert Lowe if I were you, man. Like,
oh yeah, no, definitely. He's definitely like on a list of people I'm trying to see and hopefully meet sometime.
his
So
work is crazy. Yeah, that would be
yeah.
that would that collaboration would be really powerful. Like
Oh yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
But yeah,
Just
like
even like a lunch.
yeah.
Just a lunch would be powerful. Yeah. That Candyman stuff is really good.
Oh yes. Have you heard his old Lycan stuff? His old work under the name Lycan?
Yeah, so I'm familiar with it. I haven't dug into too much. Yeah, so I perused around his Bandcamp for a
Mm,
few days. Yeah,
it's some good. It's great work. There's this one CDR that's like really tough to find. I'll show you because I have it actually.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
It was titled Infinity, but like just like OG
Oh, sweet.
CDR. I got it
Yeah,
off Discogs like
that's
16.
handmade.
Yeah, got it off Discogs like $16 off Discogs. It's so good, man. Like I don't know how he did it, and he was the reason I've been trying to do more work with emphasis on voice, and it's been very effective. Just like I
Yeah,
mean,
so like the mixture of voice and synthesis.
yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I'd like ambient music that had like vocals in it beforehand, but not to that kind of level of like mixing with modular
Yeah,
synthesizing. And yeah, it was fucking changed the game. Like you know,
yeah.
it's crazy.
No, that's great. No, it makes sense now that I connect those dots. But yeah,
Yeah,
just where you've been going with the music. Yeah,
right. I've been yeah. I, we gotta get that album rolling soon because like I even have it lightly playing right now. I got like Valley playing like lightly in the background too.
oh yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I've been having weird issues with like keeping Ableton on my computer, so
yeah,
uh, I'm gonna get that figured out, and then we'll be able to finish some stuff. So
for sure.
yeah,
Nah, I just downloaded it again like a couple hours ago. Um, cause like every time so like it would be the string of like me getting it and then I would just delete. I would delete it because it looked too complicated.
yeah,
So I never really used it to like that totality. But I don't know. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna just like get someone to show me because yeah,
hey, I'm happy to help out, Rick, and like I feel that when you said like it looks too complex or like there's too much going on, like there can be like a noisiness to a lot of digital workstations, you know, and I don't know. I just remember when I first like that kind of what we were talking about earlier with the beginnings
yeah,
of like the first recordings and stuff, trying to record. I remember that being a thing, such a thing that I just wanted to keep it simple. Like, and so it was like, what's the simplest way to achieve this like feeling or this influence that I kind of want to express on my own? And so I would just use like one synth sound, right? Or one pad. And then in Ableton, you got like a delay.
yeah,
I got a I didn't start using delay for like a few years though, but like, yeah, I got a reverb, an EQ, just like the basics, a few basic things. And then
yeah.
that's it. Where it's like you see a lot of context with Ableton, people are using it in this robust way. Uh, and that's awesome too. But yeah, it was really just like the small stuff, like real simple stuff that I started out with because that was like I didn't want the technology to get in the way too much, right? Of between me and like the music. I think so. Maybe that's what you're feeling too with
Yeah,
um, you know, software, like, you know, because there's playing music and then there's arranging it in software. I mean, obviously, like sometimes it can feel the same, but sometimes it's different.
it's definitely.
So
I feel it's different. It's like a totally different like practice, and I feel like arranging all this shit is like it's too arduous to where I just like
yeah,
sometimes I just do it. Sometimes I just do like a simple like guitar recording and that's it, just because I don't want to do any compositions like that in that
Right.
moment. But for sure,
No, and that lends space to your work too. And I think space is rare too, honestly. Like, or like it's just, yeah, I don't know, things that's going off on another thing, but yeah, like, things get noisy. Like the more stuff we have to use, and like I feel like a lot of people are competing for attention with their music, perhaps, or
yeah,
whatever motivation may be. There's a lot of noise. It results in a lot of noise. So it's like when I personally hear music that has space, I'm like immediately like drawn to it.
yeah, I know what you mean. So like you mostly like, mostly like soundscape based work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because the space is just as important as the sound. It's like um, so like not feeling like calling something finished maybe sooner than you might be comfortable with,
yeah,
and just like letting it sit on your hard drive, and like maybe 3 months later you come back to it and you're like, whoa, yeah, like this is finished, like this is a piece,
right,
and just because with the thing with software is like it can get you could be tempted to like maximize it too much, or just like use too much, put too much in on top of something, and suddenly it's like not there anymore, like that initial feeling or idea.
right.
So yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I've been, I feel like I've been thinking too complex. Like I've been trying to form like this complex form of creation, and then I've sort of forgotten that the basis is improvisation, and the basis is that it's not meant to be this like big thing. Like I see all these artists using, like artist, what do you call it? Artist statements, and like,
yeah,
you know, I just feel like it doesn't need to be that complex. And I've just because I've been trying to fit within that space also, it just I've been overwhelming myself, and so
yeah,
I'm trying
yeah.
not to do that.
I understand that, and like, yeah, you can shave all of that away. It kind of just like, yeah, um, it's really like the only thing you need for improvisation is to show up. Like that's the first thing, and if you show up, something will happen. Even if you have like two pieces of paper that you can rub together, like
Yeah,
that's
right,
improvisation.
exactly.
So then and it becomes, you really don't have a lot of control in that moment, but at the same time, you it just becomes about communication, right? So you can like kind of choose what you want to communicate, I guess. So, and that's what's cool, and yeah, I feel like a lot of people, it's easy to feel pressure too when you're like making music, or say you have a drum machine and then a synth, so you kind of maybe feel pressured to make a certain kind of music, right? Or go in a certain direction. So yeah, I definitely like struggle with that too.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I'm surrounded by all these things, but it's like how do you do it to such a like defining way, and also just like getting your work heard is like I've been in this like loop of creating something and then like caring too much about how many people hear it, and then like barely anybody hears it, and like I get discouraged, and then I stop creating for a little bit. I've been trying not to do that because like
Right.
genuinely I understand that like no, not everybody has to like hear the work or like hear it right now, but
Yeah.
I'm also someone who likes to operate within immediacy, so it's weird.
Yeah. No, that makes it, you're a communicator, right? Kind of in that sense, you something comes to your mind or is on your heart, and like, you're kind of like that poet, like you just
yeah,
like speak it, and I totally relate with that. And, like, and it's good to not dwell or like overthink those things that come to mind. Like, it's good to just let them be, right? And so it's like, yeah, it took years to kind of navigate the music technology, in order to just speak it, speak whatever came to my
right,
mind,
right.
so
It'll probably be the same for me. Like, it's like me so long to like get familiar, because that's a lot of things that like most artists would say is like get familiar with like what you're using, and like because it'll help you in the
yeah,
long run. And like I guess that'll serve.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because then you can think less about it as you're creating, because it
Right.
just becomes here. Yeah, but no, I don't think it will. I think that could be tomorrow for you. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. Like, it really is just like a moment, where you're like, oh, like this, and it kind of just, it's like handed to you. You're like, oh, like this is what I'm doing, or this is the sound, or the
Yeah.
approach. Because it sounds like you got all the tools right now, and you got the mindset. So yeah.
Right. I gotta ask as well because I've been thinking about this too. Like, how much do you think there's a level of luck in terms of how people are, how these are certain folks are like becoming well known? Like, because like people like Claire Rousset are popping right now, and it's like the work is on the same level as like I don't know, like Theodore Schaefer or someone maybe lesser known. Like, how does one even get that well known?
Yeah.
Through from your perspective.
Yeah. No, it's a tough question, honestly. Well, not that tough, but it's just,
Yeah,
you don't know what's on the other side. Like, you can never really know what a person's situation is. Like, with that said, like, there's a lot of mechanisms in the music industry, for that leverage the artist's work, essentially. And then with the internet, um, yeah, I mean it. Uh, there's like real estate on the internet that people um, have access to, like labels. Like, if you're on one label versus the other label, for example, like Theodore, I know Theodore,
mm,
good guy. He maybe was working, for example, maybe with more DIY labels, still like, you know, like still doing his thing, but maybe that those labels don't have the real estate on the internet or the resources to either book him shows, book him at music festivals, experimental music festivals, or just have that web space. I kind of started out with internet stuff, but like that's a big part of it, like press and PR, because I mean, that whole piece creates like a whole image of an artist, actually, for better or for worse.
okay.
And so that plays a part of it. But again, like going back to the first thing I said, like you never know like what's on the other side, what a person's situation is. So I try not to judge it myself, but like, there's money factors too. There's maybe certain people don't have to work a day job, like, and they have more time to leverage those things, like to like reach out and network and all that. So that's a thing too. And because um you do see like in New York, um and I'm not even talking about experimental music, and just like in general, like you see like maybe like a New York indie band that is based in Brooklyn, and they seem to just get every show, and like, you know, you find out later that, you know, their parents are super rich, and like, you
Yeah.
know, it works
Right.
since Dairy Queen at age 16. So yeah, you know, there's those levels too, and that happens. And like, I just bring that up as an example because that trickles down to, it's the music industry, so it naturally will trickle down to even experimental music, which unfortunately is not safe from those mechanisms. So yeah, it's like, that's a thing. But then on the under, or like away from that, you have the actual community of artists, where it's just anybody and everybody, and these are all your friends, and these are people that you hang out with and like learn about cool records from and go see at shows. And
Yeah.
you know, like, artists that are in it, like, they just are doing this even if there's 5 people watching or 50, you know.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate that in, you know, it's like those are where less of the resources are, and less of the opportunities. You know, even like something like playing a music festival, that's a great opportunity, not just because of the money, not just because of like having your name in a certain size font on a flyer, but like the opportunity to like connect with other artists, for example. Like, you know,
Right.
you get to play a festival like uh Unsound, for example.
Yeah.
um and you get to do that, you get to connect with and meet other artists that are like very like-minded, and you know, doing similar things that can spur you on. And that's awesome, that's a great opportunity in itself, you know. And so that's community. And so I just wish that those types of things were more accessible for, you know, the actual like the community at large, you know, not
Yeah.
because it just comes down to that like real estate, and that yeah, it really does depend on uh the label that you're on. Now, granted, there are artists that are making it happen just independently. Um, yeah, but that's not as common, um, especially because with experimental music, it's like, it's not, there aren't people lining up at the door to like pay experimental musicians money. Uh,
Right.
so it's even, those resources are even more scarce, you know? So it's just like, yeah, it's a weird, awkward thing, you know? It's like this structure that exists in the rest of the music industry that really doesn't need to exist in this community of artists, but somehow it, you know, but that's a whole other, that's how things
Right.
work with cat stuff, you know. But that would be my long answer to that. Like, um, so, but yeah, you never know someone's situation. Yeah, but you see those scenarios play out. Sure.
Good answer. Yeah. Community is definitely one that I've thought about as terms of like, just involving yourself and being more social, which is something I've learned through like just being out and like being at these shows, involving myself more. Because I was one who was never really that social, or like only with excuse me, select few friends, and I realized how vital it is to like be a part, and so I'm trying to do that a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, and it feels great. And then like, those people appreciate that, your connection also, like, a heck of a lot. And
But
yeah, you never know how lonely people are, and like, to find like, especially in a pretty niche area, to find like-minded people and friendship in that, yeah,
right,
it's huge.
it's important for sure. Like it's not that it's I mean it's not that small, but it's also not big enough to where it's like a universal love for this type of music,
Right,
you know. So
exactly.
I feel like yeah,
Yeah,
everybody appreciates it to different levels.
right. exactly, like globally it's big, and we have the internet, which helps to connect with people.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out like at a local level, like, all right, who are the people in my city? Like, who are the people I can get pizza with, or you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, bro. Speaking of that, I gotta ask. Like, I've been so curious. How did you like find my Twitter? Because like you follow me on Twitter randomly. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Why you probably wondering? Yeah, no. Uh, I think 2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of, so I've been on, since the pandemic started, I just on Twitter more and like, yeah, just really like, I think the kind of part of your profile that was like archival, I think you like had that
Yeah.
in your bio, and that's something that I really became just, I started like connecting and following people on Twitter based on like these topics and like discussions and seeing what they were talking about and like caring about and posting about.
Right.
Started using Twitter more for that way because otherwise it was too toxic for me to stay locked on because it's just like constant negativity and like news.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, just trying to dig personally deeper into like archival arts and like music history and like jazz and like all that. So
Yeah.
I saw a lot of that on your stuff. So yeah, it was exciting. I thought it was cool. And I was like, yeah, this cat's like young and he's like
Yeah.
fully got so that's cool. And yeah, stoked to be connected.
Right. I. Yeah. That was. It was good. You did that. Like. Like.
Yeah, yeah.
Such like it. But even so, like, I wanted to do like an archival project that hasn't
Yeah.
come to too much of a well fruition other than me just like posting shit on Instagram or like
Mm. What kind of project?
like I wanted to do this thing called ARC where it would be like an archive of experimental like African American art. I mean there are like organizations like that already, but like I don't know, I wanted to do it
Mhm.
on like a universal scale.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I want to do something focused on African American ambient or like ambient adjacent music
Yeah.
because I feel like that's a little bit more of a particular and it's just something that like most people don't know. Like I remember
Yeah.
seeing like a Reddit post, someone asking the very same question, like, "Do you know any like black ambient artists?"
Yeah.
And then like
Right.
only a few names came up, like Laraji, and then you came up, and then We on We came up. So I'm trying to just like document that so people know. But that'll be later on after all these projects. Yeah. But like I might need help with that.
Yeah.
Say
Yo,
what?
I would love to connect. I would love to get involved in that because yeah, that'd be great. Like I um it's tough. It's gonna be tough with Bandcamp. Like there's a lot of people that, for example, they have a Bandcamp, and they're just putting up the music, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit like a pipeline or something of getting discovered or whatever. And it's just up there. So like, yeah, it could be tough to like find stuff. And yeah. So there's people on SoundCloud that are making awesome stuff. And like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I definitely would love to see that. Um, I don't know if did I tell you about the label that I'm starting? I may have like mentioned it briefly.
I think you did. It was it like the reprint of yeah, you did.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do like the focus is gonna be reissues, but I'm also gonna do new stuff like
Mm.
um just like current music. So I'll definitely be like searching and like looking into that already. So yeah, we should definitely like keep talking about that.
Right. So What would it be like? Vinyl records? Would it be like? Was it just like record label?
Eventually,
Yeah.
provided vinyl doesn't provided the vinyl industry doesn't disintegrate in the next 5 years or something, like,
Yeah.
or like by like next year. I'm gonna try to start doing vinyl next year.
Okay.
But I just can't do it right now. So I'm starting with CDs
Right.
and just strictly CDs, and then digital. So yeah, because I didn't want to wait any longer. I've had this idea for a few years, and
Yeah.
I just want to get it launched. So
Okay.
yeah,
Hey,
but vinyl is ideal for the reissues, right? Because a
yeah.
lot of these were initially on vinyl. So
Okay.
yeah,
Hey, good luck with that.
yeah.
Hey, would appreciate a release on the CD. You know.
And yeah, you already the offer's already there. So
Word. I'll yeah.
oh, for you though, for your
Whenever
stuff.
I get a good one, whenever I get a good album, I'll like send it.
Yeah.
Shit. Bro, this is saying 8 minutes left.
Wait, that was not a 40-minute
That is
call.
crazy. Anyway, I mean,
Here, I can try again.
no, it's on my end. So
It's weird.
I don't know. But nah, because I'm recording it on my end this time. But yeah, I guess we'll just let it ring until we might have to start it again. But yeah, man. What have you been
Yeah.
listening to though?
So I've been listening to pretty much like techno or um, jazz music. So
Right.
yeah, like earlier this year, like in the spring, I was doing a lot of research with the jazz, and that kind of pushed the label to get kind of conceptualized. And now, yeah, I've been doing DJing. Like I've been just like playing at like friends' places, DJing places, friends' places, and
Right.
DJ my first party with some friends like a couple
Right.
weekends ago. Yeah, really enjoying that as just like a release of energy. And so I've been like enjoying like listening to like Jeff Mills or
Yeah.
this guy Mark Williams from the UK. Like, yeah, a lot of the new stuff, the current stuff, a lot of the techno coming out of New York. Yeah, really like I've been loving that energy and watching like it's something I really tuned into when the pandemic started. And so I'll be on Twitch and watching like these DJ sets and like
Right.
watching them just like hang out and mix tracks. So yeah, that's been really refreshing and nice energy, like nice enthusiastic energy to be around.
Right.
And like other than that, just like the jazz stuff, like mostly for the purposes of like this like research project thing that I've been doing too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Techno's a beautiful like style of music that I've also like started to become more familiar with. Like I found Jeff Mills like start of the year too, like just
Yeah.
listening to his shit. But I've mostly just been listening to Robert Hood from
Oh yeah.
Detroit. Yeah.
Yes.
He's
Yes. Yeah.
great.
Robert. I love a lot of his like a lot of his textual work, like his just the way that he finds these kind of like loops, these repetitions of just like it just hits the right spot. Like some of his tracks.
They
Um,
do. And a lot of them are nicely like nice and dissonant too.
yeah. There's some like I like that aspect. And then the Jeff Mill stuff, I guess like I've been listening to like these 3 hour mixes that are on YouTube, like from
Right.
the early 2000s and stuff. Yeah, what have you been listening to? It's like
Mostly like ambient music. So like do you know this one artist from France named Malibu?
no.
No, she's really good. You'd love You would probably love her album called One Life. It's incredible.
Okay.
But yeah, mostly just like an assortment. It's like the first time I've been able to like balance like stuff I've been listening to. It always just be like I go through like mini phases where I just listen to like free jazz, and then I listen to yeah, like techno, and now I'm just listening
Yeah.
to like whatever sparks and whatever I desire.
Right.
But mostly top one right now for me is Nicholas Jar. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
he's crazy. Like, have you heard his album? Like it's called Senizaster, Ashes in English, I think.
No, honestly, I haven't like scoped any of his stuff. Like I would definitely check it out. I gotta, yeah.
It's good. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with his old electronic stuff. It's a little different. Uh, it's a little bit more emphasis on like international forms and improv.
Yeah.
Um,
He's on Erase Tapes, right? That label.
yeah,
I think that's where I remember like seeing him like with
right.
like Olafar Arnold's on his own. Like, yeah.
He has this label called Other People that
Hmm.
has some good stuff on it.
Okay.
Like other like I think Chilean artists. I'm not as familiar, but still pretty good. And then
Yeah.
you know the band he was in, Dark Side, with Dave
No.
Harrington. It's they just came back. Like they just came back after like a couple years hiatus.
Yeah.
Well, like hiatus since like 2013 or something. So like, they're good.
A 10-year hiatus. Then.
Yeah. Right. This is saying 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Cool. I'll do the next one.
Okay, sure. But
Um,
yeah, mostly Nico Charlie. And I've also just been getting back into film recently. That's been a huge thing. I went to TIFF, Toronto Film Festival, was last week. Yeah,
always, yeah.
it was pretty good. It was kind of mixed. Like I saw a couple films. Two of the films I saw were really bad, and
Yeah.
the one I saw yesterday and the day before were like just fantastic.
Okay.
But it was a good mix.
That's exciting. Yeah, I miss that kind of environment. I used to
Yeah.
volunteer in film festivals.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
exciting. Yeah, just like getting to see the short films too.
Yeah.
Just even short films.
I didn't see any short films. Man, there was like the short film like retrospective for this one guy who I genuinely forget. My friend wanted me to go with him. I forgot who it is, but like, yeah, I'm probably gonna go to that. And then they have the new Jordan Peele screening again at this one theater, at this one
Oh,
like art house theater. I might go
yeah.
see that.
There's another one after Nope.
No, no. Nope is just screening again. Like it's screening at this
Hmm.
one this art house theater because it
Okay,
stopped.
cool.
Well, I don't think it stopped screening,
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's screening for a couple more days. Like it's downtown too, so like
yeah,
um man, I saw you did this album as like a tribute to Cassavetes. I
yeah,
hadn't listened to it yet, but that's such like a sweet concept. Is he like a major one? Is he like a major one for you?
yeah. That was yeah, like that was like my art house stuff. I guess you could say, like when
Yeah.
I would watch like just in the middle of the night, like just just to have it on, you know. Yeah, he's a huge influence, and just his style, like his raw style, really, and
Hmm.
just kind of like capturing like improv. You know, some of his films are
Yeah.
improvised, so it really like hits the music tips too. I think in me, so yeah. So
You know who else I feel, at least through the one film, Godard really captured improv essences, at least in Breathless. If you saw
Yes.
that one, yeah.
So I haven't seen Breathless yet. It's like a crime, I know, but it's on my
Yeah,
list. I have a huge list of, but yeah, gotta check that out. That's like
it's
it's magnum opus apparently.
it's good. I mean, when I first watched it, I didn't think it was that crazy.
Yeah,
I thought it was only because of its like it felt I back then I was like, oh, it feels like a Cecil Taylor like type of free flowing type of narrative,
right.
and I admired that.
Yeah,
But the narrative itself didn't hit. But like
yeah,
looking back on it, I really love it. But I need to see more of his stuff myself.
right.
Um,
No, that makes sense. So perhaps more of the style of what was like interesting rather than the story.
yeah, and that's the thing too, because Godard was not really like, yeah, I think it was meant to be like that. I don't think it was meant to be narrative over like progression of style.
Yeah,
But he changed, yeah, he changed the game for sure.
yeah.
Like, but for film, I've been really into Bellatar recently.
Bellatar. Okay, I don't know.
He did one a lot of people know is Satan Tango or Satan Tango,
Okay.
like this 7 hour slow cinema film.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I haven't I haven't finished it myself,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's great. I saw his film Workmeister Harmonies at TIFF. It was screening again at TIFF
Hmm.
at the theater, and it was like the most powerful experience I've ever had watching a film. Like I was sitting like absolutely stunned by the poetics. Like I couldn't even. I'm not even exaggerating. Like I could barely even walk afterwards. I could barely even speak after watching such a film.
Wow.
Uh,
Love that. Like,
yeah.
wow. So is that 7 hour one? Is that online? Like, you know,
I don't think so. I it. You might have to buy it. It used to be on Criterion Channel. Um,
okay.
it might be on Canopy, but you might just have to like buy it or like just pirate it or
Yeah.
whatever. But it's long as hell, bro. Like I can't even finish it yet. But his stuff has been very inspiring. I've been trying to make a film with the base concept that it's about reconnection for like a couple years now.
Okay.
But it would always have that same concept, but the whole like characters and like settings and shit would change every time, and like how
Yeah.
I want to stylize it would change. But now I'm close to figuring out how I'm gonna do it. But for now, I want to just do like non-narrative, like nature films. I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's another thing film that I admire. Just like
Yeah.
any scene outside of the narrative that shows like nature or like I'm a sucker for footage of water, like
Yeah.
water ripples and shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's
So
I could see that like with your two like you incorporating your music with that with these landscapes.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I would do like a soundtrack for it and then just whatever it would align. So I'm hoping to do a few of those, like a short films throughout the next year or so,
Yeah.
and then oh man, because I feel like you would really like Scott Barley, who's a experimental filmmaker,
Got Brian.
and he does like mostly what I'm talking about, like poetics through like nature recordings showing like darkness and beauty.
Wow.
And he has this one film called Sleep Has Her House, which I've only seen like 15 minutes of, but there's like this long sequence of a waterfall, and it's like Oh man, like I just the first thing that came to my ears was like your music.
Oh wow.
So like I feel like I feel like you might enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like next time
Scott,
I watch it, I might like lower the whenever I watch, I might just lower the volume and like just play like After Dark or something in the background or like you know yeah.
nice. No, is Scott Barley? Is that
Yeah, Scott Barley.
all right? Also, yeah,
He's I've only seen his short films. He's like been crazy inspiring recently.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need to get to see more films like at a theater, um, especially these more like visual experiences. It's something I
Yeah.
definitely miss. I haven't really returned to that for a few years. So yeah, it's like
What type of films do you mostly find inspiration in?
uh, there isn't really like one type, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like more so. I think I used to think or attribute film in a more direct way to what I was making, but for me, it's more. I think like with forest management, especially, that was. I felt like I was. I felt like I was a filmmaker in a sense. Like yeah, just definitely took pieces because like earlier, like in 2015, I would try to. I started trying to conceptualize like uh, scoring film, like scoring, like picking a film and then like making a score
Yeah.
original. And yeah, I just didn't quite find the like I felt like it was just better for me to like focus on sound and then kind of create my own narratives there, and so that kind of like
Right.
it kind of fulfilled that or like scratched that itch for me, you know. So, but that said, like the four Cassavetes album, like that was like a soundtrack, but it was like I didn't like quite take it like it was a little more like loose, like casual of like a
Yeah.
just shout out, I wasn't like trying to super hard to like match what was on screen or something, like it was more just like
Uh,
suggestive, and poetic. So yeah, like
right.
uh, I with that said though, like I would like just been in the process of connecting with folks in the film industry, and I'm gonna go to LA for like a week later this year, just like to be um, around friends and people there, and like yeah, just start like opening up possible like collaboration with combos, and 'cause that's what I'm really excited about, and that's like to be able to like see someone else's imagery and like work and and then go back to like my studio and bring something to match it. Like that's something I've always wanted to do more regularly. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I hope that can happen for you, bro. Like I feel like that type of music. I mean, it's definitely like you said, not like purposefully cinematic or whatever,
yeah,
but yeah, you would make a great soundtrack, man.
thank you. Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think in terms of style, like I mean, I think uh considering the project and what I like was this headspace I was in, yeah, it's very much that like kind of journalistic, kind of candid, um maybe a bit realist, but it's like it's kind of hazy, just like some A24 stuff or something would be great.
Yeah.
It's insane. But we'll
Or
get there. Yeah, no, like I just have to speak it, first. Then, yeah, No, but like just like the real life, like current day kind of vibe. Just like um to kind of answer that question about like type of film.
Right.
Yeah, So
Yeah.
but
I mostly like realism in film myself.
yeah,
I try not to watch stuff that's like too fantastical anymore or
yeah,
whatever. Like even like popular like Marvel films and shit, like comic book films. I'm a huge comic book nerd, but like I've fallen off of comic book films so, especially since Marvel's been like a huge like it's been on a huge like streak of terrible films.
yeah.
Personally,
Lots and lots of money and lots of terrible films.
it's horrible. Like
So much money spent.
yeah, like you're wasting it on this garbage. I mean, what was the last time you watched a Marvel film?
Man, that's the hardest question of this whole conversation so far. I'm stumped on that one.
Right.
Does wait? Does the Avengers count? The Avenger, that's Marvel, yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched Avengers on a flight in like 2019. That was a lot. It was the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier. Or
Winter
no,
Soldier.
maybe that was Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Captain America's too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched that.
It's all good, bro. That's so funny. Cause yeah, no. It's I don't blame you. Like you're not missing much nowadays. Anyway. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, 2019, I was like a little younger and like I still love that type of thing, but nowadays it's just a shame. It feels like I've lost that part of it feels like I've lost that part of like my childhood, like that innocence. Now I can't even properly enjoy these types of films
yeah. Well,
because I see how formulaic they are and like I see
yeah,
how plastic they
exactly.
are, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think they still struck you. They struck your imagination at that time, right? That's cool.
Yeah.
And take with you. So now you have insight about what the imagination can do. But yeah, then the reality is just like, yeah, these films are injected with so much formulaic BS. And it's such a kind of McDonald's of like just the fact that they're still coming out. It's just, you know,
It's so true. It's the McDonald's of film. I I'm actually surprised I've never heard that one for real. Like that's so true.
yeah.
It's like they keep doing it. You know what's even worse to me? Anyway, Disney has been doing this thing where they've been since like 2011, where they've remade a lot of their classic films.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since like Alice in Wonderland
Yeah.
and
I think is it Beauty and the Beast, or it's like I think that one's coming out again, or
they're
no.
doing they're doing Little Mermaid now. That's what's next.
And I also saw a trailer for a Pinocchio, and there's actually two different new Pinocchio drops coming out
Yes,
by two.
one by Disney and then the other by Guillermo del Toro.
So if that's not an industry crisis, I don't know what is. Like,
Man, it's tough. But that Little Mermaid one, out of all of these like Disney films, has gotten the most stirring just because like they casted Halle Bailey as Ariel and like
oh,
you
that's
know
why. Okay, that's where I saw this talk on Twitter about like black women.
yeah
Okay, man, Twitter is so bored. But
it's tough. It's weird,
like,
but like it's not even that crazy. To Disney fans and like are like so racist. lot of them.
I can
It's
definitely see that. Yeah.
Star Wars fans, especially. Good lord, I don't know how big into Star Wars you are. I'm like knee deep in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like I love Star Wars the same level that I love like like fucking all this music.
Yeah.
So it's like
Wow. Yeah. I used to be into it a lot. Like when I was younger. Yeah.
yeah.
I had that media book and stuff where it tells you like every single character, even the ones you see for like 2 seconds, like really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have that. I have it like stored away. That used to be my Bible back in like elementary.
Man. Yeah. That's awesome.
But Star Wars fans are like they're like some of the worst people you'll ever like encounter or try to talk to
Wow.
or have an argument with.
Yeah.
And I remember when Force Awakens came out, I was like 11 years old or something, and people were complaining that just from the first teaser, like no story, nothing came out. But they were upset that like the stormtrooper was like played by a black guy, John Boyega. Like they were like they could, yeah.
Yeah. This guy can't have that position.
Like what? Like dude, what is that?
No, it's some real like, yeah, that makes sense. It's a lot of those people live under a rock. Like,
For real, like exactly. But with the and it's especially apparent with the Little Mermaid thing. It's like, what's the point of even complaining? Because like, also just on a base level, the movie is gonna be so garbage. Like it's gonna be top tier garbage,
yeah,
and I don't even have to watch it to know that
right.
because they don't get artists to make these films.
Yeah,
They're literally just remaking the film.
yeah.
Not that hard, except you're wasting like millions of dollars
It's
for
gonna,
these effects that nobody's gonna overanalyze.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's gonna come out, and then 6 months later, people are gonna forget about it completely.
Yeah, it's just gonna get bad reviews, and then they're gonna announce another one.
Yeah.
But then people are still gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That nostalgia too. Wow.
it's
Powerful.
horrible. It's
Yeah.
horrible. Like the way they like grip you by the heart, even with like the last one I saw was Jungle Book back in like 2016 or something, and
2016.
then I was like no more because like I can't keep giving them money for essentially watching a film I could watch on like my old VHS player or something. Like
Right.
I can't. No.
Yeah, watch it in its original form too. Like,
Yeah. Dude,
like pretty much
no point.
got it covered there, the original version.
No point. The worst one though for me was the Lion King one, and
I missed that too. A few years ago? No,
yeah, I think it was 2019. I actually don't even remember.
2019. Yeah.
It came out sometime. I don't even know. It was so bad though. It was not even bad. It was just like it's one of those ones where it's like I can't even talk about it.
Yeah.
It's so dry. It's so dry because it's literally just Lion King remade.
There's just one large commercial.
Like it's seriously just shot for shot. Lion King remade with like real life like CGI animals. It's hilarious.
Wow.
They didn't even do anything new. They took out one song. That's it.
Song they subtracted.
And the worst, and another thing too is a lot of people were complaining that like the best thing about Lion King was obviously animation and the expressiveness of these characters, and you don't get that from like lions, like real life lions. They don't show that type of emotion, so it doesn't suit the narrative at all.
That's odd.
They
Then it's
were gonna, huh?
then it's not even real. It's CGI. It's like
Yeah, not even
bad
real.
CGI.
They were gonna do Lion King 2, and guess who's gonna direct it? Barry Jenkins, who did Moonlight.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, the- uh,
Like, you know how funny that would have been? That got canceled, thankfully. But I mean, I would have understood because it's like, yeah, get your money. Like, Barry Jenkins is like, he's like my favorite like modern filmmaker. So like, hey, anything that would get him a bag, you know?
right. Well, it's interesting too that like that's the progression, the career progression that's offered to him, like of like, hey, like, congrats on Moonlight, like masterpiece. Like, you can do Lion King now if you want. Like, you know, like, that's this like, you know, like, and it's such a like it shows like the spine of music movie industries like uh we're just like offering these directors these jobs basically, like, you know, like I don't know what that conversation looked like or how he was offered it, but instead of just letting
Yeah.
Greg Jenkins like do make what he would want to make make another original film. It's just like, especially like with if the director's like broken out into the industry,
Hmm.
we need those directors. We need their original ideas, like to be on the big screens. Like, yeah, you know what I mean. Can't say I would. Can't say I wouldn't take the back too. It's not like it's not
Yeah.
about him, but I'm just like mad at the like the people that are offering that. And it's like, dang, you know, instead of letting these movies like just like die, like like you know,
Yeah. I feel like it would have been. I feel like that might have been the problem in that they wouldn't have allowed him to make. It wouldn't have been a Barry Jenkins film, which
right?
is what worried me too. It's like they were gonna have his name on it,
Yeah,
but he wouldn't be.
like they're capitalizing on his name too.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally, it's like what they did with Chloe Zhao, who directed Eternals for Marvel, which was the worst, the worst Marvel film, probably. It's so bad.
Completely missed my.
But don't watch a lick of it, my friend. Like don't even like
Yeah,
it's so bad. But Chloe's out. I think she did this one film that got popular, I don't even remember. But yeah, like they get these directors and then they don't even really make the film, you know?
yeah.
It's tough. But
It's like, how do you direct CGI? It's like
yeah,
it's
just
just
the thought of Barry Jenkins doing a Lion King sequel, it's just so funny to me.
it's like the writers write the script, right? So it's like, yeah,
And speaking of film, it's like it's really nice to see a lot of like these old like experimental composers doing compositions for these type of films, like Robert Lowe doing Candyman and like Daniel Patton doing the Safdie's shit.
yeah,
That's that one was so crazy to me because when Uncut came out, I was just getting into OPN,
oh,
and
really?
then and I didn't know his real name, and then I watched Uncut Gems. Was like, yo, who did the soundtrack? And then someone told me, oh, it's Daniel Oberton of OPN. Like, no way, the same guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah,
When it connects these two parts, and you're, yeah, that's really, I think that's cool too, and just knowing where Daniel came from, you know, and like, I think it's like because I have a couple mutual friends, and like my old roommate used to be really close with them, and still is. Um, but he would tell me things, but yeah, just like Daniel always, Dan always kind of, aspired to that, to like So I think there's a moment like in that artist community we were talking about earlier, where it's like it's a community. It's self-sustainable. It's fine as it is. People are just fine making music, playing in front of 10 people, and like they're happy, and like hanging out with their friends. And but sometimes there's like moments now where like someone just wants to like shoot for something, and that was Dan. It's, I understand. Like, so he just like kind of always he's just stayed working at that like early on. Um, and it's so cool to see the how it's grown, and like yeah, it's a whole nother zone. And like I think too like with the Safdie films, like that being just a pure collaboration too. Like those guys are super talented, like how they make film and like it's great to see that on the big screen like that. Those original ideas and like
Yeah,
because like it has to be we have to strip it back away from like just these huge corporations like that are just like proliferating the bad stuff. So yeah, it's good.
right. It's a total flip of what we mentioned, like with there's these plastic films. It's really good to see like
Yeah,
New York and those type of places having those type of films like
yeah,
still being made and still getting like pretty popular. It's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Even like do you know Alex Zhang Huntai or Dirty
Yeah,
Beach?
yeah, I know that name. He's a keyboard player, piano.
He was a piano and like saxophone player.
Yeah,
Uh, he I heard of him about him like a couple weeks ago, but he did the soundtrack for this film that I saw at TIFF, and I was so shocked because I was like, I literally just heard about this guy,
yeah,
but it instilled once again like a kind of inspiration that like you really can create the type of work that you want, and you could still get to these points of doing it for films of that kind of caliber. Like
yeah. Right, exactly. It's a good way of putting it. You can do what you want, like that is so huge for artists. And it's just like as much as we can fight for that in society, like, and I think a lot of a lot of people don't care. Like a lot of people are like, whatever, I don't need any space from society, like as long as I have my own space. And I get that.
Yeah,
It's also cool to see like it's like if you can have your stuff played on like in like 35 millimeter with like surround sound, like, that's great, I think. Like that's something that, that's cool. Um like the technology in a cinema is made for cinema, it's made for films and the history of that, because it's become so diluted, right? Like
yeah,
more and more. So it's like, you know what I mean? If you have an actual appreciation for the history of the thing and, which is someone like Daniel or someone like Robert, um, yeah, it's great, try to encourage that. So yeah.
it's so wonderful. Like even Robert, like I saw an interview where he was like he wanted it to be like a like within the film, but also like an entire entity, like the soundtrack be like a different entity from the film, not
Right.
really mirroring the original
Right.
too much. And that type of thing works. Like it's so amazing how it works.
Yeah.
Um, Amazing the freedom he was able to give. Um, but it just gives me hope for that kind of this music,
Right.
and that it can still be for us and still fit within like Hollywood spaces or whatever, those
Yeah.
type of spaces,
Yeah.
but still not really losing why we created it in the first place.
Right. Without losing its integrity. Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. And for the music side of that too, it's like, yeah, like for example, like, the the recent return to like with the pop music, kind of house music,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
like the way that electronic music has grown, and like the ability to like make tracks on and have these plugins on an iPad or a tablet, like even like just, and then something like the pandemic happening where it's like more people were at home and like touching these technologies. And so it's like, yeah, it's interesting, like, and that's coming to the mainstream of music, but like with film. But yeah, that's kind of in its early stages. I feel, who knows? I'm not trying to predict the future, but
Yeah,
like it's still pretty like fresh, because these popular artists are like utilizing these like kind of signals maybe that they're pulling from culture, what they've observed, but
right.
the artists themselves from those communities aren't being involved yet. So you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But and maybe someday that'll happen. Maybe it won't, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we had a 6-minute warning here.
6 minute. I mean, I feel like we could cap it
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So I guess I'm gonna get some dinner soon.
Or,
But yeah, no.
but like, thank you so much,
Dude, thank
for a
you.
convo.
Thank you, brother. It's been a pleasure. So
Like, have an excellent, like have an excellent afternoon, night, and I'll probably like. Hopefully, this podcast kind of becomes something, like
actually,
hopefully it becomes.
you should keep doing it and keep it going. And like, let me know if you want any. I'm happy to like put you in touch with anyone I know. Like, if you want to
I mean,
some people, yeah.
I would dig to have like Theodore Schaefer on eventually. That would be sick. But for now, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
would be cool to have you on eventually. Maybe like if it does, like maybe like anniversary or whatever. But yeah, no, seriously, thank you so much for the time.
no,
Like appreciate it, crazy man.
exciting that you're starting to do this. So yeah. So and
Or,
all that archive stuff, those archive projects. Let's definitely connect on that. Like, it'd be great.
I'll I'll keep you in the loop with that, like when I actually started, because yeah, I would need some help. You probably know a little bit more than me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Yeah. Cheers. So, oh yeah, and all. Thanks for your patience with Valley Impression stuff. So
Word, it's all good, man. It'll happen.
yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah. So what else you up to tonight?
I'm just gonna chill, man. Like I might make some music in with you. I'm probably gonna just test. I'm just gonna experiment with Ableton a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been out like months, like for weeks. I'm just trying to rest up.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
In your space.
I'm gonna probably spin. I might spin floor 9 again just for the one time.
Yeah.
Hey, blessings, bro. Have a good night, family.
Hey, thanks. You too, man. I'll talk to you later.